Improving your balance and your body position on your motorcycle and how you move is going to improve your riding enormously. Regardless of how good you are, it's the thing that always holds us back. So this week, I've got a fantastic drill to solve that problem. Welcome back to MiniTip Monday. This MiniTip Monday drill is riding your motorcycle one-handed off-road. For me, that process of learning to ride without your left hand on the handlebar is really, really good for solving those little mistakes in your riding position, for improving your balance, for improving your feel for what the bike is doing, and becoming more sensitive. Everything is exacerbated massively when you take that left hand off the handlebar, because you can't maintain your balance using the handlebars anymore. You have to do it through being gentle, by bending your knees, by having your heels down. All of those little bits add up to a much bigger problem when you haven't got your hands on the handlebars. To start with, I would recommend doing this in a really gentle environment, somewhere where the consequence is very low and the skill level required is very low. A nice smooth gravel road. If you're quite new to off-road riding, just ride in a straight line one-handed. This will solve a lot of problems for you. As you start to progress, you can increase that difficulty. Maybe find a nice gentle uphill, put a little slalom in it. That also makes a really big difference. And lastly, then you can start to increase the difficulty with puddles and ruts and other things. I wouldn't go for super skinny ruts. They're really difficult to ride. But you get the idea. A little bit of progression over time can take you really, really far with this. Now, when you first start doing this, you might struggle a little bit with finding a good position, especially if you're someone who's a bit taller or has been using your bike to maintain your balance. So you put your knees on the fuel tank or you push on the handlebars a little bit to hold your balance. It's going to feel really alien. So a couple of tips that are going to make a really big difference with this. The first one is move your feet back on the foot pegs and drop your heels. The second you do this, it's going to improve your balance immediately and significantly, and you will find it much easier to ride. The second tip is that a little bit of smoothness makes a massive difference. If it's technical, obviously you haven't got the clutch to use anymore, so riding in taller gears is a bit nerve-wracking, but generally second gear, nice, smooth, constant throttle makes a really big difference. And over time, you will build up to a position where you can ride really quite quickly doing this. It's surprising how much control you do have without that left hand on the handlebar. But you can see I'm going down this hill. It's chalky and off camber and it's rutted and it's got drainage dishes across it, and all of these things are fine to deal with because my basic body position is pretty good. I know GoPro is really good at flattening these things out, but this is pretty steep and technical enough one-handed. The last part of this drill that I think is fantastic for improving your riding is improving your transition from being sat on the bike to standing on the bike. One of the best parts of this is learning to have a really good movement pattern between sitting down and standing up, and making sure that you're always transitioning to the right place and doing so without using the handlebars. You should be able to stand up on your bike without using the handlebars, and you should be able to get into a good standing position from muscle memory so that you're not having to readjust straight away. And this is a really good way to solve that problem. The more you do this, the better you'll get at it. It really is a great drill. That's this week's MiniTip Monday. Done. Go out and ride the first 5 minutes of every ride you do for the next 5 years one-handed. It will immediately set you into a really good position. It will solve a huge amount of problems. It really helped me with my riding as well, in finding a really good, perfect riding position where I'm not using the bike to keep myself balanced. And even if I'm a bit rusty, this immediately gets rid of that rust. If you've enjoyed this video, you want to see way more of these MiniTip Mondays, this is actually a series we do on Patreon for our Patreon members. It runs in 10 episode series. It's designed to make you a better rider, to give you things to practice at home, to give you better understanding of lots of different elements of adventure bike riding and dual sport riding. So if you're into that, come and say hi on Patreon. And if that doesn't sound like something you're into, we've got lots of other ways where you can support the videos we make, the reviews we do, the how-tos we film. You can find links to those in the description down below. One of them is a web shop where we sell a little bit of riding gear, mostly the Fox Legion range, because I think it's fantastic dual sport riding gear. And we have some merchandise and some stickers and some other little bits and bobs that I think are really good products or have Break Magazine written on them. Otherwise, I'd like to give one last massive shout out to all the people that have supported me on Patreon for the last year. It has been a massive transitional year with COVID and how I run this channel, and they have been there supporting me for a really long time. It makes a massive difference to how easy this is to do and how enjoyable it is, and I really appreciate all the support and all the content that we've been able to create together and the community that we've got on Patreon. It's really, really nice. So if you've been a part of that at any point during the last 18 months, thank you very much for your time and your support, and here's to making some really good future videos. Oh, and lastly, remember, life's better when you're riding.